So resilient to me means the ability to come back better than you started, better than you ever were before. It doesn't mean being perfect. It doesn't mean never failing. It doesn't mean never having any obstacles. What resilience means to me is being able to overcome obstacles and come back stronger, smarter, and more balanced than you were before.
Hey, healthcare providers, you're listening to the Burnout to Lit Up podcast. Hosted by myself, Erica, and my husband, Michael. We're an OTPT team that understands the healthcare industry's got some serious issues.
Inspired by our own experience with burnout, we've made it our mission and passion to help you navigate your career in healthcare by cultivating wellness, growing both personally and professionally, and advocating for a better workplace.
Whether you are a clinician or manager, new grad or seasoned vet, join us each week as we share interviews, research, stories, and strategies that will give you the tools to go from burnt out to your most lit up self.
Let's dive in.
So where would you rather travel to if you had to choose one? Bali or Kenya?
I think Kenya, because it's like less...
I know what you're going to say.
It's less like known. It's like people go to Bali when they're like rich bloggers and Instagram people.
Not necessarily, no.
No?
Well, that Instagram makes it look like that, but...
Like how many Instagrammers do you know go to Kenya? 0.
You know what? You're not on Instagram that much because a lot of people travel all over the world now.
Well, yeah, but I mean, what's like more?
Like more touristy, you mean?
Yeah.
I would, yeah.
Probably Bali.
So you would go to...
Honestly, I would go to both. But if I had to pick one, I'm going where the selfie sticks are not. You know?
So you have such a criteria for traveling. By the way, Nurse Mo is going to both.
Nurse Mo.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I'm like lighting up inside just thinking about our conversation.
Like she's going... in the same trip, or
no,
she's just planning to go to both?
It's for you'll hear in the episode, but it's different trips. But she has been able to put together her love for global traveling with retreats and nursing and
awesome.
Yeah, I'm not gonna reveal anymore, because you're gonna hear it in the episode,
tuned, folks.
Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I think. Well, those questions, like, would you rather go here or here, to me are so difficult because I want to go everywhere.
Yeah. Traveling is weird because it's literally impossible for me to see all the places I want to see. Mm-hmm. And like knowing that, it's like you still have to like prioritize your trips, and it's like hard. So,
okay, there's 2 different schools. You should email, if you're listening, well, you are listening, okay. You should email us if you are on Team Erica or Team Mike. Okay. Team Erica, I enjoy traveling. If there's a few countries or maybe a few states or whatever, a few cities that are like close together, I want to make the most out of that flight, out of that trip. So I would suggest that let's go to Italy and Greece. Let's go to Greece and Turkey. Let's go to Thailand and China. Okay, Camp or Team Mike, go.
So when I travel, I like to go to one place and really see that place. Like we went to Spain May a couple months ago, and we didn't do any other countries. A lot of times people do like multiple countries, like she was saying, but we went to one region of Spain. We only went to Andalusia and like really saw Andalusia. So now we're like super versed in Andalusian culture.
Yeah. So Spain is different because I would only go to Spain over and over again.
That's what I'm saying.
Because I'm very biased.
But now we've been really deep in it. But like
we're deep in Spain.
If we were doing Team Erica method, we would have taken a cruise and just hit Barcelona and then said that we went to Spain.
I'm not like that either. No, I'm saying look, I'm saying that to go to Spain, it makes sense to also go to Morocco. Like I would have done both. Okay, I get the going deeper versus wider thing, but I want to go everywhere. So it's like, if you go to Spain, go to Morocco. If you go to Thailand, like we went to Thailand for our honeymoon and we just stayed in Thailand, which, okay, that's a Team Mike moment. It was worth it. But we did the Great Wall of China. That was worth it too.
Yeah, but that was like, it was like a last minute, we're going to be, layovered in Beijing for 18 hours.
Yeah, our layover
So that was
was
like, okay, let's try to get out of the airport. Like, that wasn't planned, really.
we planned a layover.
That was cool, though.
Layover tour 2 days before, and they actually have layover tours. It was the most legit thing we've ever done.
Yeah, it was great. This guy picked us up, drove us out. We were the only ones on the wall. It was like first thing in the morning.
7 a.m. We were so tired. I kept falling asleep in the car. When we got there, we were delusional. No one's on the Great Wall. It's 7 a.m. He gives us a Chinese beer. I go to this little outhouse where the toilet's on the floor, and I'm like, yep, this is gonna be our morning. And then it was breathtaking.
It was really amazing.
No one was on this part of the wall, and we were breathless too because of the altitude.
I get it. It was like an incline of like 20 degree. What is it, degrees that they do incline grading or percent? I don't know. It was really freaking steep.
It was steep. We were high, like elevation wise, and we were breathless and tired and confused, but it was worth it. Like,
yeah,
it's the Great Wall. It's totally worth it.
Yeah, for sure.
In this episode, I got an opportunity to chat with the amazing Nurse Mo, and she talks about her nurse retreats coming up. So that's what really sparked our talk about travel. But Nurse Mo loves travel. And a little bit about her, Mike, she's from Philadelphia.
Really?
Philadelphia. Wait, where's that from?
I think it's from Always Sunny.
It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Yeah, that song is always in my head when I think of Philly. So Nurse Monique, is a critical care nurse from Philly, and she graduated from HBCU Hampton University in Hampton, Virginia. After college, she began travel nursing at this #1 level trauma center in Atlanta and began working in intensive care. So ever since then, Nurse Mo has had the opportunity to travel to many states, and she has worked in some of the top institutions in the country in various aspects of critical care, including cardiac intensive care, liver transplant intensive care, trauma intensive care, and neurosurgical critical care. Oh my God, can't get tongue tied.
A lot of words.
I was about to lose it. And she began her blog in 2014. She has ever since then, I didn't know her back then, but I can imagine when she started up to now, she has grown tremendously, and she has such an I was going to say empowerful and impactful at the same time. She has she's very empowerful. Is that a word?
Empowering, I think.
She's empowering.
Or powerful. Or invent a word.
Oh my God.
Empowerful works.
I think too fast sometimes. This happens once a day where I make up new words.
Yeah.
It happens like once a day.
It's like word diarrhea.
Because someone told me the reason why I stutter is because I'm thinking too fast, and my mouth is trying to catch up. And I grew up stuttering. I was always recommended to have speech therapy. Never happened. And I've worked it out somewhat. I still have my speech problems. But anyway, Nurse Mo is impactful, and she empowers nurses. There you go. She has an inspiring community around her brand. And she has her brand, The Resilient Nurse. And she has her own brand as herself, Nurse Mo. So she talks about that in the, her whole brand development and how she impacts people and her whole journey in this interview. And she talks about the real reason behind her start with the resilient nurse, what resilience means. And now she is totally just living the life. And she is, I think, really fulfilling her role and her purpose in life. And we talk about alignment too, and I think that's so important for people to think about their alignment in their life. What they're doing, is it really aligned with their big long-term goals? And I think people, many times, we get stuck in this we're just focusing on the short term, just getting through the day, getting through the week, getting through our jobs. But we take the time in this episode to talk about alignment. So it's really powerful to hear this. If you're taking your purpose in your life, seriously, you want to like step it up and really step into that. And Nurse Mo has really transitioned into becoming a full-time entrepreneur, influencer, motivational speaker. She's all the goals, and she hosts uplifting events throughout the country and internationally. So that's what we talk about, her big travels and her retreats for next year. And I love her heart. You know, she's out there inspiring people and being real. And I'm just really happy about this episode. I'm happy to share it.
Yeah, she's a great person too. You guys really connected on the episode, right?
Yeah. You know, we felt very aligned with each other, talking about alignment and talking about her journey.
We kind of have a lot of similar goals too. It's like her with nursing and us with,
Healthcare
just in general,
and with OT and PT. Yeah, I mean, the goal for this podcast and for ourselves is to take the show live, in events, in different sorts of workshops, and go into different parts of the country and meet people. I love that in-person connection. So Bolu listeners, be on the lookout for next year. We're going to start having live events.
The year of the Bolu.
2019 is going to be our year.
You heard it first.
Exclusive. Do-do-do. Wasn't that on MTV?
What, Ham Horn?
No, well, they had, what was that show where they filmed music videos?
TRL?
No, they filmed music videos, and you got the behind-the-scenes exclusive look of the making of the video.
Oh gosh, I don't know.
It was insane. Like, I remember Beyonce was doing Bootylicious in 3 days, waking up at 5 a.m., and they just record and film all day. And it's you don't remember that show, like the making of the music video? And it was an MTV exclusive.
I'm sure I watched it. I just, I don't quite remember. I don't remember any specific episode, I don't think, but I'm sure I watched it at some point.
Oh man, MTV, those were TRL.
Those were the days. MTV was a power network back then. Now it's not even around anymore.
No, it is.
Is it?
Remember when we
what do they play on MTV now?
Remember when we were coming into California from our road trip, we put MTV on, and the Jersey Shore is still airing.
Oh yeah, Jersey Shore has a new season.
I can't believe that.
And they're all like old and boring. Like Snooki doesn't even like get drunk anymore.
But she has a baby. I
hey,
think.
Listen, yeah. So I don't have another episode. It's like or another season. It's just totally
I don't
weird.
know that.
It's weird and different.
I don't know of anyone. Like, MTV was such a thing during our time, our era.
It's like Pauly D still has frosted tips and he's like 45 years old. Like what are you doing?
But do like younger people do not millennials, because we're millennials, but do the generation under us, do they watch MTV? Is that still a thing like it was a thing for us? I don't think it is.
No way. Yeah.
No, a thing now is like YouTube and consuming media.
The socials.
Through the socials. But
remember Vine?
I never got into that.
I thought Vines were hilarious.
Oh, well, I didn't have the app. Was it an app?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think it had desktop too, but.
Oh, no. Well, I saw them.
They were always funny. I don't know. They were like 7-second looping videos or something.
Oh, no, yeah. Sorry. I did see that. I had a live journal too.
Oh.
Do you know what that is?
No. Is that an app too?
No, it wasn't an app. It was a website where you could have a journal, and
oh, how embarrassing.
It was so stupid. I wish I could go into that. I want to find it. My friend Eric and I.
A live journal?
Yeah.
It's called Live Journal?
Livejournal.com. We gotta go right now and see if it's still up.
Oh my God.
That was like MySpace era time, and I was really into Shakira, so I would post pictures of me trying to look like Shakira. I swear.
Belly shirts.
It's gold. It's gold. Well, yeah, like with my belly dance stuff.
Yeah.
And I would write about my teenage angst.
Angst.
Okay, so a little trip back into the past, back into MTV. I don't even know what triggered that. Oh, we said exclusive. there. I had to like make it work in my mind. Like, why did we get so off track?
Behind the Music.
Behind the Music?
Is that what it was called?
Oh, maybe.
I think that's what it was called.
Yeah.
MTV's Behind the Music. That rings a bell.
Well, next episode, maybe we'll verify it. So to be continued.
We're gonna have Carson Daly on the next episode as a guest.
Dude, I remember Rihanna doing her Pawn the Replay, her first performance
On MTV. Damn, she's
on
old then.
TRL. On TRL.
She's been around for a long time. She's like the pit bull of female like background like singing.
Like every amazing
She's
song.
not a background singer, but what would you call her? She's never like. She just features in songs now. She's like Pitbull, but like she doesn't have like her own singles really that go mad hits. But
well, it's like you don't really listen to music really anymore.
Yeah, that's true. But that's only because that people consume music now through things like Spotify. Like they don't go out and buy albums anymore.
Yeah,
You know
I
what I
customize my playlist on Spotify.
Yeah. I used to own all kinds of albums and stuff. I used to be like really into music, but then it totally changed like how we consumed music. So it never made sense anymore.
Yeah, that's why I'm still wondering is MTV still a thing? Because actually those tactics that MTV uses, like with the videos and stuff, you see that on Spotify. It's kind of like the same sort of concept, sort of, but like I think translated into Spotify. Like I'll see music videos with like brand new songs.
Yeah. Some of like the pop songs have music videos when they play now on Spotify.
Yeah, but like you're not going to MTV.
By the way, we're on Spotify.
Yeah.
So if you prefer to listen on Spotify, go do it.
Yeah. I lost my thought,
Just
but whatever.
a heads up.
We're way too lost right now.
Anyway,
so
this episode's about Nurse Mo and how awesome she
truly is. So let's stop talking and
Yeah,
introduce her.
Let's get going there with that. All right.
Goodbye.
Super duper. See ya. I keep freaking forgetting to do this, so I'm sorry. I keep having to record this after the fact. But as you may have heard last episode, and if you didn't, no big deal. We have a Patreon page now. Patreon is, sorry about that little ding. I'm uploading videos to YouTube. So if you want to listen to this on YouTube, you now can. Awesome. Anyway, Patreon is a opportunity for fans of content creators to donate a little bit of money. And by a little, I mean as little as $1, no big deal, to get some awesome goodies in return. Okay, so goodies may include early access to episodes, exclusive episodes, chance to be on the podcast, a chance for us to talk about a topic of your choice, things like that. Some really awesome stuff. So head on over to our Patreon page. That's patreon.com/burntouttolit-up. We would really appreciate even a consideration. The podcast is always going to be free. We're never going to make you pay for it. But being able to raise a little money would certainly help out. We have a lot of stuff to pay for to keep the content really quality for you guys. We need more equipment. I'm recording this on my computer right now. So it's like, we want to bring quality content to you. Need a little bit of money to do that. So give it a consideration and enjoy this episode. Nurse Mo is legit, and I'm super stoked to have her on. Too bad I wasn't part of the interview, but I was at my day job, unfortunately. But it was awesome. So cool. Enjoy the episode. Goodbye.
Yeah.
All right, I'm ready when you are, love.
Yeah, I'm in my pajamas too, so it's all good.
So, Rainy, where are you located?
Right now we're in California. Are you in Philly?
I am. I came here for a few days. And where's your accent from?
Oh, I'm Cuban.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and it's like the Miami accent, so it's really thick.
Yeah, I love Miami accents.
Yeah. Well, my husband's from Philly, actually, so I love Philly.
Yeah, I'm here. I came home for a few weeks to just kind of get grounded and figure out what my next move was. And I'm getting some work done in my home. So I figured it would be a good time to leave.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to come on the show. I'm so excited to talk to you today.
I'm excited too.
So I know you are Monique Nurse Mo, and I love that you have your own, like, two handles, The Resilient Nurse, and I am Nurse Mo. So before we go into everything, I just want to ask, who is Monique? Like, what makes you Monique?
So I think what makes Monique is that I'm very impulsive. I can be a little irrational, and I'm a little not wound completely tight. I take risks. I do really crazy things. And I just kind of live my life with what feels good to me at the time and what will feel good in the future. I don't really focus on how things will look all the time. I'm more so focused on how they feel. And I mean, I could go into a long story about what makes Monique Monique. But the main things is that I'm really rooted deeply in like my family and, aware of, my past. And I try to stay as present as I possibly can with the world that we live in today. And really just try to lead my life with love. And I think that's what makes me me. I don't know if you're into astrology at all, but if you look up all the qualities that an Aries has, I am definitely that. Very outspoken, very impulsive, introverted, extroverted, meaning that I love people and I love speaking in front of people, spending time with people. However, I need a lot of alone time to recharge. Mm-hmm. That's what makes me me is, really being connected to my source and like taking a second to reconnect and just regroup. And that's what I'm kind of doing right now for the next 10 days, being back home. I think I'm pretty in tune and aware of what I need to be happy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's awesome, because I think that I see that in your messaging, in your Instagram, and I see that you're very connected and you're very intentional. And you have this beam of confidence, but you're super grounded. And I love that about you, is that you help people to do the same thing, to really embrace that. So thank you for just being you and showing up. And I hear you. Like I'm like you, introvert, extrovert. So recharging your batteries is essential in order for you to be your most thriving self.
Thank you so much. And I'm glad like you're aware of that, because a lot of people are really unaware of what they need to be happy,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think people like you, a lot of different people are making that more transparent. So I can't wait to talk about your brand and your speaking, but really quick, I just want to give people a background of where you started. So I know you began your career as a travel nurse and you worked in top trauma centers and other variety of centers. So what really inspired you to start travel nursing?
Okay, so I'm going to go back a little bit. Mm-hmm. So I started my career actually in Georgia, but I attended Hampton University in Virginia. So I grew up in Philadelphia, and where I come from in Philadelphia, I really wanted to see people who looked like me, who were brown like me, being really excellent. Mm-hmm. And so I chose to attend an HBCU for that reason, is because I wanted to be immersed in that culture of Black excellence. So that is like where my career kind of began. It's like from my nursing school experience at Hampton University. It was a very unique experience, being around so many people from the same ethnic background, but also being around people who were so different in different socioeconomic statuses. So it was a historically Black university, but it was very diverse in the sense that some people had tons of money, that they came from politicians, they came from actors and, athletes as parents. And then some people come from a single parent household like myself. So that was really interesting. So after college, I went to Atlanta, Georgia, just because I didn't want to move back to Philly. That wasn't an option for me. I failed my NCLEX not once, but twice. That's the test that you take to become a nurse. So that was a really challenging thing for me. And it really broke me down and really made me really rethink my worth, as a nurse. Was I smart enough? Was I talented enough? Not to mention the 4 years of nursing school where I questioned myself, was I good enough to even do this job? Was I smart enough? So when I finally did pass my boards, I wanted to do a job that I knew I could have a life that was filled with work-life balance, that I could have a lot of fun, that I could travel. And for me, the goal was to always become a travel nurse, because travel and nursing, that was just a cool, thing to put together. So I took a job at the #1 level 1 trauma center in Atlanta, Grady Memorial Hospital. And I actually took a huge pay cut, and I actually took a step backwards. I had a year of experience already as an RN, and they wanted me to sign on as a new grad for 2 years, even with my year of experience. And I took it because I knew that that job will put me in a position that I would be highly marketable. So then I entered travel nursing in 2014. After having 3 years of nursing experience, I entered travel nursing. And I definitely suggest any nurse out there, any travel nurse out there, anybody who is about to embark upon the journey of travel nursing, that they get their experience, that they really understand what comes with being a travel nurse. You don't get a lot of training. You don't get a lot of help from staff. So it's really challenging. So you really need to know your stuff when walking in that door for your first travel assignment. It was really, really challenging starting my first travel assignment. But what helped that was my experience from that high acuity level 1 trauma center for 2 years. So I started travel nursing in 2014. And when I started travel nursing, I was really overwhelmed with all the logistical things. Am I getting paid enough money? Is this the place that I want to work? Is this a traveler friendly institution? All those things I really didn't know, and I didn't know what to pack. I didn't know who to reach out to. So those things were really, really challenging. And I felt like there was no guide or how to do this. And then when I started looking again on the internet, I noticed that nobody was of color and no one was young that represented nursing. And I also noticed that it almost was unacceptable to be a nurse who also has fun, who has a social life, who shows work-life balance skills. It was like, if you are talking about nursing, it's all about nursing. So I created a platform, the resilientnurse.com, back in 2014 to kind of change the face of healthcare. And that doesn't just mean the color of healthcare. So just to change the expectation of what a healthcare worker can do. The fact that they can have fun, the fact that they can look really nice when they're at work, and the fact that they can share, ways to make more money and to have a happier life. So same time that I started my first travel assignment in 2014, I launched my blog, theresilientnurse.com, and we just celebrated our 4-year birthday.
Congrats. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Yeah, I love that you said that. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's really important. And to be that voice and represent the good, and even make healthcare something that, I think misery loves company. And from my experience in healthcare, I've noticed that we need to step it up and make this, everything that you're doing, your whole mission is like, make us excited about not just working in healthcare, but having a life and being well balanced. So, with that being said, I want to ask you, why resilient nurse? Like, what is resilience to you? How did you learn how to be resilient?
So I think that resiliency started from when I was a child. But I didn't realize that I was actually resilient until really overcoming things, and just taking a moment of self-reflection that I think we don't all do, and taking a second to be like, wow, this happened, that sucked, but I overcame it and I lived through it. I think we get so caught up in what didn't happen and what we didn't accomplish, but we need to take a moment to really reflect and decide that this did happen and I did overcome it. And guess what? I didn't die. And I overcame this. Like, I realized, I didn't realize that I was really resilient until really I started to plan for that first travel assignment. But to be honest with you, the reason the Resilient Nurse came about was because I initially wanted to create a scrub line. At the time, there was no scrubs that I felt like were fashionable, cute, and like really fun. That's a whole nother but now we have that, we have so many different brands that are doing that. But I decided I wanted to create my own line of scrubs because I always loved fashion. I always loved fit and things like that. So I wanted to create an athleisure kind of wear of scrub line. So I was thinking about, fabric, and I thought about what would be a fabric that people felt like was durable and something that people could, connect with. And I came up with resilience because I looked at a fabric. I looked up the definition, and it was saying, it literally talked about fabric and how it's remarkable and how it can overcome so many different wears and things like that. So I thought to name my company Resilient Scrubs. So later on down the line, I decided that people connected with me more than they connected with a product. And I decided to, instead of making a product or focusing so much on products, to really kind of sell myself as the product and that energy that I bring as the product and that energy of resiliency as the actual product. So resilient to me means the ability to come back better than you started, better than you ever were before. So resilience to me doesn't mean being perfect. It doesn't mean never failing. It doesn't mean never having any obstacles. What resilience means to me is being able to overcome obstacles and come back stronger, smarter, and more balanced than you were before.
Wow, you gave me chills.
Thank you.
That's so true. And what you said about you became the product, like you embodied that. Like, I mean, I see that and I've seen that for a while, and that's what people just want, like you and what you have to share. So I really appreciate that you made that choice, and now it's like nothing can stop you, because I see you, confidently, chasing your dreams and really making it happen. So, Yeah. So like, I know you do events and I know you inspire people. So how do you bring this message of resilience to people? How do you share that in person with people and move them forward?
So one of the things that I want to do right now is thank all of my supporters who are tuning into this podcast, because you guys are amazing. And, new supporters who are going to support me later on, I really appreciate all of them, because without them, there's thousands of unseen hands, building me up. Yes, queen, go girl, every day, which is amazing. But sometimes I don't feel that way, So some days I don't feel like my best version of myself, like I'm living my very best life. And one of the things that I have to do is spend a lot of time alone and really do that introspective thing where I look in and figure out what I need to be happy and what my message is, all the time. And I'm revisiting that through prayer, meditation, travel, different things that I do to kind of stay in line with my purpose. So I think the first step is being purposeful and intentional within me, right? Because I can't be out here being a fraud and telling people to live a certain way or telling people to be inspired, and I'm not inspired. So the main thing is that I'm constantly seeking inspiration. The other thing is that is so unique about my supporters. I don't just have 115,000 followers online and whatever. I have these women who are so amazing that they drive for hours to see me speak. That they fly into different cities to come and see and support my events. So I'm so grateful for them, because they're not a typical, influencer support network. They are really fierce and amazing. So without them, I wouldn't be where I am at all. But what I've been doing with these events are, I'm sponsored by a company, Emerald Health Services, and they're pretty unique because they wanted to bring on travel nurses, and that is like the intention of our relationship. And they give me 100% of creative freedom and allow me to lead how I want to with these events, down to the tablecloths, the napkins, down to what I speak about, and down to how we put together a panel. I've done things like, I want to put together a panel that are all with people of color. And they're like, okay, we support that because that is your unique message. So that's been really amazing. So I do these groups, these events I do the I Am Resilient workshop, which is one of my larger events where we normally take 150 to 300 guests. And they get there and they're able to network, mix, mingle, have food, get giveaways and all that good stuff. And then they get a Q&A session from a panel. And one of the things that I started doing recently was bringing on a panel of nurses who are really excellent. And I search for them online, or they'll reach out to me. But what I like to do is share my platform with those people, because I'm not an advanced practice degree nurse, and I don't plan to be. I'm not, a nurse practitioner. I don't have expertise in midwifery or mother baby or any of that stuff, but there is someone out there who does, and they actually have a good message, but also often they don't have the audience for it, right? So what I like to do is be able to provide a platform for them and in turn give my audience more information that I can't always provide. So these events are really amazing. They're a mix between networking, a party, a support group, and just an all-around learning session for anybody who wants to come. I have events with 150 people there, and 20 of them are not nurses because they're just like, I need motivation and inspiration too. So it's really awesome to be able to open that up to like, nurses, nursing students, pre-nurses, and just people who need motivation. And besides that, with the workshops are definitely my larger, they're kind of my baby, and I want to cradle them for now. But I also host events for other organizations and other groups, and I come on as a keynote or a guest speaker. And that's one of the things I love about it is that, online you're able to feel someone's energy kind of. But we've all kind of had that moment where we meet someone who we're a fan of or we love their work and they're completely different in person. And that's a bummer. One of the things that I really like about my audience, one of the nicest compliments that I've ever received is that you're exactly the same and I love you just as much as I do online as I do in person. And I think that that's really cool. And I wonder why that's such a rarity, but I think it's really important that we have these real in-person one-on-one connections because it's something really special about having a tangible feeling and connection with someone, that you look up to online.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that's what we're headed. Like we know like you can only go so far online, but when you have that in-person connection and people, I think that's the best compliment when someone tells you, oh, you're just like how you are online. Like you're real, you're genuine. And you're like, yes, exactly. Because there's no other way for me to be. So it's like so unfortunate that maybe other people are faking it and they're not really being genuine,
Yeah.
Also, I wanted to commend you so much for the collaboration over competition mindset because that's beautiful. I see that and like I really feel it like and in other organizations too that bringing women together and not just about me but about like we and about sharing. So thank you for that.
No problem. Like thank you so much for acknowledging it. For me it's really about the fact that I don't have every tool to give someone. So why be stingy with my platform when there's someone there that has the knowledge that they can give to someone else that I can't always give? So I think it's more remarkable to share your platform and to really offer, a sense of I can help you and you can help me versus, this is my event and this is what I want to do. The other thing is I can't entertain people for 4 hours. I would be really exhausted, So like I did that with my actual workshops and I decided to do it online. And it's funny that your podcast is called Burnt Out to Lit Up because I was really burnt out as a nurse, as an artist. And where I was at with it was I had got to a place professionally with my influencer and speaker career that I could leave my job easily. And something was telling me, oh, you need to stay, you need to stay full time. It was more so just fear, and just choosing fear over love for something that I really care about and I really honor and I really enjoy doing because one, I thought, I wouldn't be able to relate to my audience as much because I'm not working as a nurse anymore. And then the other thing was fear of, inconsistent income. Mm-hmm. So, but my heart wasn't at work. My heart was not at the bedside. It wasn't at the hospital anymore. So what I decided to do back in August was to bring on brand ambassadors. And I honestly just thought of it as a whim. So I noticed that a lot of brands that I really look up to, really love, Cherokee Uniforms, Lululemon, so many Glossier, Osea, all these amazing brands use brand ambassadors to represent their brand. And I was like, it's weird because I don't really have a product I'm selling so much because I do drops of merchandise that aren't always consistent all the time. Like I don't always have one thing I'm selling. I have one thing I'm selling all the time and that's candles. But I don't always have t-shirts, mugs, hats, all that stuff. So I was like, what am I really going to have these brand ambassadors represent? And I talked with my social media team and they were like, your message, that's enough. And so I was just like, okay, well, let's try it out. So we just put out something saying, we're looking for brand ambassadors, really not not explaining what it entails. And we got 560 emails.
Wow.
Nurses and nursing students who were interested in becoming brand ambassadors and just really being a part of the movement of the Resilient Nurse brand. So what that allowed me to do was to open up and triple the following of the 31 people, about 80% of the 31 people that we represent and that we work with, triple their following and give them a larger platform and just kind of like, allow them to believe in themselves, and that people, have them a platform where they can share their content and have thousands of people view it,
Mm-hmm.
They have really valuable content. And then the other thing it allowed me to do is to stop talking about nursing so much because I wasn't really in tune with it at the time and I wasn't interested in it. So what it allowed me to do is really grow my mindset and focus on things that I want to do as Monique Dowdy, as Nurse Mo. So it allowed the Resilient Nurse to be the Resilient Nurse and Nurse Mo to be Nurse Mo, which was really cool because it's just something I implemented in August because I really wanted to separate the two brands. And I'm noticing that people are taking to it really well. And it took a while for people to get on board. I had to stop posting so much stuff about nursing and my career and things like that. And I thought that people would really not dig it, but they're really on board with, just knowing me as a motivational speaker who is also a nurse,
Mm-hmm.
And then they can go to these amazing men and women who are brand ambassadors that work with the Resilient Nurse, who have various expertise, various specialties, advanced practice degrees, all things that I don't always have. So it was really cool. It was the smartest and like most giving thing I've done in a while. But at the same time, it came back to me like tenfold with the amount of love and, support that we received from it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So like you feel now that you're so aligned with that choice and it's moving you forward.
Yes, exactly.
Mm-hmm. That's the thing, like just finding alignment and purpose. I know you talked about purpose,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it's courageous for people to make that kind of decision, because some people are like, no, I have to stay in my job, for example, or I have to be a certain way or look a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
And you're listening to your voice. And I would encourage our listeners, people are listening to this episode, to find your voice, find your purpose, and align with that. And whatever aligns in your heart and soul, that's like, people will like it or not, but you're being true to you, and that's more attractive.
Yeah, it's your truth.
It's your truth. Yeah. So I feel you, girl. I mean, I'm like branding myself. I just split up the podcast for my other brand, and I left clinical occupational therapy to pursue this brand. So I feel everything you're talking about right now.
Yeah, I understand.
So
It's challenging.
What's that?
It's challenging.
Oh, yeah, it's challenging. You're questioning yourself, and and I think especially you, I mean, you're light years ahead of where I want to be, but it's like we're pioneers, so to speak, because
and I think that I'm not light years ahead. I'm one chance and opportunity ahead, and that's all.
Mm-hmm.
That's all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you've been doing it longer. I just think it's time,
Yeah, time and commitment. And that's another thing, like, I want your listeners to understand, is that I launched my blog in 2014. And I really got serious about it, I would say, at the beginning of 2016, like very serious about it. And I didn't I started receiving payment for it, like, making it lucrative in 2016 when I decided to put 100% of my energy into it. So I definitely say what you put into something, you get out of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Where your intention flows. No, where your energy goes, something like that.
Where energy goes, intention flows, I think.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's time, it's commitment, and it's being clear with who you are, your truth, and your vision. With that being said, you have a lot of momentum. You've gained momentum with your time and your commitment. What did it first look like? The very first things you did to start speaking? Because I know people get scared of, like, they imagine themselves going from 0 to TED Talk in like 2 seconds, and it doesn't happen like that. So what were your first steps in overcoming that challenge of speaking and getting started?
So, okay, so TED Talk is on my vision board still, and I'm going to speak it out because, with intention,
Mm-hmm.
TED Talk is definitely on my vision board. And I honestly, For me, I had I don't want to say I had low expectations for myself, but I kind of did. So for me, I wanted to be a movie star when I was growing up. And I don't know like why, but I just wanted to do something where I was like the center of attention. And somehow I chose nursing, which is the complete opposite. But it really like humbled me for that mindset that I had, that like, I should walk into a room and light it up, and what I think nursing kind of did for me was learning how to light a person up.
Mm.
And it taught me how to listen. And I spent years listening. So when it was time to speak, I had a lot to say, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So many people are waiting to speak and not listening. So I like to really listen to people when they're talking, and I like to really be aware of that. My first speaking engagement was in January 2017, which isn't that long ago. Mm-hmm. It was in January 2017. I spoke at a conference called the Nurse Link, and that was in where was that? That was in Atlanta, Georgia.
Oh, by Julia.
Yep, by Julia. It was not a paid gig. It was about 100 people there, 150 people there. And I was prepared, and I obsessed, right? And it was really good. My second speaking engagement, I felt like I was a natural, and I blacked out on stage for 30 seconds.
Oh.
And I didn't have anything prepared. So 30 seconds is a long time to black out on stage. But I pulled it together. But what it taught me is that humble yourself. This is new for you. Now, as an ICU nurse, I can go in with no notes, no notepad, none of that. I can go in tired and still be able to get through my shift and keep my patients safe, clean, and alive and happy. However, because I've been doing that for 7 years. However, as a speaker, this is new to me. So I really have to take time and put detail into it and put my energy into it and really think about what inspires me. Sometimes, I write a speech and it's really amazing. And then I get to the engagement and I find out that even though I thought it was going to be all nurses there, it's all nursing students. And what a nurse needs to hear versus a nursing student is completely different.
Yeah.
So I have to really feel the energy of the crowd and listen. Like listening is the key element. So recently I did a speech in Houston, Texas. I did that speech on Saturday. And it ended up being really amazing. But I prepared something for about 3 days where, I wrote everything out. I recorded it. My process is where I write out what I'm feeling. I actually write a list of about 10 quotes, and I kind of shape my speech around that. And this time, was really different for me because I wrote something out, I recorded it, and then I got up the morning of and something was just I wasn't feeling it. And this happens every now and then. So I got down on my knees and I prayed and I wrote out a mantra for myself. And it said that what I literally didn't even realize I was writing, but I wrote, "The truth is interesting enough." And the truth is inspiring enough. And I kept trying to write something else, but it wouldn't, like my pen would literally not write that out. So I decided to scratch everything I wrote and go from my quotes and hug everybody at the event and go around from table to table and ask them what they wanted to hear from me and what they wanted to learn from me. So that is kind of my process of a speaker. And the only thing that's consistent is listening to my higher power, listening to my intentional voice that, I have full conversations with like a crazy person, and also listening to my audience and what they want to hear from me. Sometimes I find that when I write and I obsess over a speech, I am searching for a reaction from my audience. I want to make them laugh. I want to make them cry. I want to make them feel something. But really, I need to listen to what they need from me. We're not really, a lot of motivational speakers will tell you this. I listen to so many talks from some of my favorite speakers are Will Smith, Oprah. I do enjoy Tracy Ellis Ross when she decides to speak, because I know she's more of an actress. I love Sophia Bush. I love so many different people. And one of the things that I listen to a lot of them say is that when they get on stage, that's not them anymore. And I totally feel that, because when I get on stage, it's not really about what I wrote or what I planned. Other words come out of my mouth that I did not plan. but it's about alignment and just really being tapped in. Some of the best people in my life that have like coached me through speaking have told me to throw away my speech and to speak from the heart. Do I recommend that when you're first starting out? Absolutely not. You need some type of guide and something to go off of for sure. But over time, it gets to a space where if you're listening and you're really in tune with your audience, the words will kind of flow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wow. Wow. I'm like, I can't even think of what to say because that was just absolute gold. And I think that can be applied to a lot of things in life. I think a lot of times we're so worried about impressing people, and it's not about that. It's you're only interesting if you're interested.
Yeah. If you listen, you have to listen.
Yeah.
Listen.
Wow. Yeah. That's like the gold.
We're waiting to speak, and we're not listening to what the person said. So, like, if we really listen, we find out what they need from us,
Mm-hmm.
and
Right.
we're guided to say what they need from us.
Yeah. We even had a class. I was an adjunct professor earlier this year in the occupational therapy department, and I forgot this. We have a whole class on therapeutic use of self, and even with patients, it's not about what I know, or I'm here to help. I'm here to listen and give you what you need. So I think that can go across so many different areas. So thank you.
No problem. Thank you.
So with everything that you have going on, how do you stay organized? How do you stay focused with your vision? I don't know if you're like me where I have a million thoughts and it's like, oh, I want to do this and do this. And, the entrepreneurial life, like, how do you stay organized and focused?
So lately it's just one of those things of constantly having to reground yourself. So, I'm really into poetry, and one of the most recent books that I read that, I've read a few times, was it's a book by Rupi Kaur. It's called The Sun and Her Flowers, and it talks about the different areas in your life. There's the wilting, the rooting, and the blooming, right? And so social media shows us the blooming areas of our lives all the time. But I like to be kind of honest about the grounding and the rooting, because that's the important part. That's the part that's really required for real growth. So how I stay organized is, number one, I have a team. So there is no artist, no celebrity, no writer, no anybody that you really, really like is really out here killing it that does not have a army, a team, or even one person behind them helping them. If it's an intern, if it's a boyfriend, if it's a friend, get help, because you're only one human and you can't do everything yourself. What I find from a lot of new entrepreneurs is that this project that they're working on is their baby, and they don't want to let anybody touch it. And one thing I have to tell you is that my brand flourished, tripled in following when I hired an assistant. I could not afford her at the time, and she's been promoted twice, and we've grown our team more, but I could not afford her at the time, but I knew that I could not afford not to have her.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided to grow my team and surround myself with people who are really good at what they do, so I can be great at what I do.
Yeah. Amen.
So, excuse me, I'm going to grab some water. So, if you look at like some of the most successful people that you admire, they have a team around them, really helping them and guiding them get through their day-to-day things so that they can just kind of be who they are. And I'm not there yet with a solid team, but I don't edit videos, for instance. That takes up a lot of time, and I don't have time for that because I need to be coming up with material to speak about in those videos and in person. So I have a videographer who edits and does everything like that. I have someone who shoots some of my photography for me. I have an assistant that does my email marketing. And then I have someone who, reaches out to brands for me. So I would say on the day-to-day, I do have a lot of things on my to-do list. I am pretty organized. I make a to-do list, and I just learned to prioritize. So I'm going to be really honest with you. What I put in priority, number one is family and significant other. Number two is money. Anything that's making me money, because I need to live, right? I have to pay my bills. I have to keep my lights on. So I go through my emails in an order, in an intentional manner. Is this about family? Is it about someone who's in need of a cry for help? I'll respond to that first. Is this about money? Because I need to pay my bills. Is this saying paid partnership, paid promotion? So then I go through those second. And then third, I go through collaborations, podcasts, things that I can help grow me as an influencer and as a speaker. I do one podcast a week with different companies and organizations, regardless of their following, regardless of how big they are, how small they are. It's really important to get my message out there. And I think it's kind of like an act of service. So how I stay organized is like just an amazing team around me, prioritizing. And the last one would definitely be boundaries. Boundaries is something that I'm new to learning because when I first started my brand, I responded to every advice email that I got and DM. So back in 2014, I would stay up all night and I would get every person who asked me a question about how do I get into nursing school? How do I become a travel nurse? How do I pay my student loans back? How do I do all these things? How do I find my purpose? And in 2018, I said, you know what? Enough is enough. I have content on YouTube, Instagram, every platform that there is. I'm going to create a website just for I Am Nurse Mo. If people want to book a coaching call with me, they can, but it does cost money. And then there's a cheaper option if people want to learn the lessons that took me years to learn and lots of money to learn. I created webinars around them. So that was my way of establishing boundaries with my audience that, you know, even though I do share energy and I do share positivity with all of you and I do share love, my advice that took me years to learn, sometimes you will have to pay for it if it's really specific. Does that make sense?
Oh, perfect sense. Because your time is valuable and you can't like exactly if someone emails you, oh, like what's my purpose? That's a loaded question.
And when people write me that, I send them a link to. I made a guide to discovering your purpose. It's available on iamnursemo.com/shop. It's under my webinars. Basically, what it does is kind of walk you through the things that you should really sit down and kind of discover if you're trying to figure out what your purpose is. And when women call me to book coaching calls, well, women reach out and schedule a coaching call. In the first line, it says, "What are your goals?" And when people write, "I'm just trying to figure it out," I refund them their money immediately and send them a link to, some tools for self-discovery because I can't help anybody figure out who they are and what they desire. I can't figure that out for you. I can give you the tools you need to figure that out, but that takes a lot of time alone. That takes a lot of thought. That takes prayer. That takes quiet. That takes a lot of experience to figure out what you love, what moves you. But so many people don't know that, and that's okay. But I can't figure that out for you through a DM or email.
Mm-hmm. I think people are looking for a quick answer too.
I think that is, I just spoke to Hampton University. That's my alma mater. I went back to speak. And the reason I went to speak, I've been trying to go there for years. But the reason that the faculty finally decided to bring me on board was because they felt that they couldn't reach their students. Because their students live in a millennial world where they get the answer here and now. And I'm really experienced with millennials because I work with a lot of millennials. My audience is between the ages of 18 and 34. And that's pretty millennial where they want a solid answer right now. How do I become a nurse? Respond to me. But when we went to school, or when I went to school, I had to pick up a book and then I had to pick up an encyclopedia. Like Google wasn't readily available. So now people have the access to Google, which is like an amazing tool, but they still want the answer immediately. They don't even want to have to type it in. So I think really like being aware of, right now it's really challenging because I do have to fit that. I want the answer here and now. Where I spend a lot of time making a lot of my videos, content, web design, really, I for lack of better words, dummy proof. So that it's really like you can just find the answer right away. You can search the answer right away because people do not want to look for things anymore. And it's because we're in a state of privilege where we have access to everything immediately, right away. So for me, what establishing boundaries was okay. I have the tools here, here, and here, and they are free. But if you want me to hold your hand and walk you through it, and you're not a nursing student just trying to get through school needing motivation and inspiration, if you're a business owner wanting to make a lucrative profit and you're trying to figure out how to develop and grow your brand, you have to pay for my time and energy. Mm-hmm. So that was big for me, is learning to establish those boundaries. And it was really a hard decision. And a lot of people were pretty resistant to it. But I just was like, here are the tools, the hundreds of videos I have on YouTube, the thousands of photos, quotes, and things I have on Instagram, and the hundreds of blog posts that I have on my website. If you can't find the answer there, like, we need to set up a time to talk, a specific time, So I have 35 women who I mentor for free, like without any issue, that are nursing students. But I also have clients that do pay to take my time and help them develop a plan to really making a lot of money for their businesses. Mm-hmm. And move intentionally too.
Yeah. Like that makes sense. I think people need to learn how to respect someone's time, and then it makes it more serious. Like, oh, like, she's not messing around. And that's true. I think, we have to set those boundaries within ourselves and see, you're a great role model of that. Like, you respect your time and you want to give your best, and people need to show up. So, like, you're just making it happen that way. So I really commend that.
Thank you. I think it's a really challenging thing as a business owner, and in this digital world that we live in, where things are readily available, to really establish a boundary of, this is my worth, and I need you to show up for that. Like, and I think it's really challenging, but I encourage all the business owners out there to figure out what their worth is for their services that they offer, and really stick to that. And kind of have these brand core values of things you will and will not do, and things you will and will not work with. Like, someone sends me $100 to take a call with me, and, it's really hard to turn down $100 for an hour, but if they're in a space where they don't know what they want to do, a part of my integrity is for me to say, here's your money back, go figure that out. And when you figure it out, come back to me and I'll help you establish it and build it. So it's as business owners, we really need to, like, establish boundaries and figure out what our core values are, and what we're willing to work with and what we're not willing to work with, and what our number is that we need to be compensated for it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And, you have so many things that are exciting coming up. And I know, like, we talked about one of, like, those aspects of your business. But I know there's another aspect of your business that I'm, like, dying to ask you about, your Bali and Kenya trips. And, I'm so excited, like, for these opportunities. Like, how do you see it's kind of like a two-part question. Like, how do you see your brand evolving? Because now your brand is evolving to marry travel with wellness together for nurses. But, like, so just talk about those trips, what's coming up, and how do you see your brand evolving?
Okay, so I got the opportunity. I got an email from One Love Travel Club about 7 months ago, and maybe 6 months ago, and they emailed me like, hey, I have an opportunity for international travel. And I'm like, bullshit, this is a scam. So I'm like, okay, whatever. So I called them. And I take a call, which I rarely take calls, because I feel like whatever we need to do, when people get you on the phone, that's when they normally like to finesse you and finagle you. So that's another boundary for me, is I'm really particular about who I decide to actually take calls with, because that's like a weird different energy exchange that is completely more personal than email. So with business deals, I like to do everything through email as long as I possibly can. So I get a call about Kenya, and I'm like, okay. I had put on my vision board years ago, and it's time to make another one, that I would be an international traveler. And about 2 years ago, I started doing solo trips. And it was because my boyfriend had a job that he couldn't travel all the time. And he was like, you should still go. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna still go. And then I would reach out to my friends, girlfriends, homies, whatever. And they couldn't always afford to go, and they always couldn't get the time off to go. But because of my, like, flexible schedule as an RN, I was able to travel a lot. So once I kind of ripped that Band-Aid off for solo travel, I just decided to really go with it. And I absolutely love it now. And it inspired lots of women to travel solo, which I'm like amazed with the amount of like young Black women that I see in Bali, Indonesia, or in Thailand, completely alone, or all these amazing places alone. And it is so empowering and uplifting. So when I got this call from One Love Travel Club, we talked and they told me basically that they used to use influencers from the beauty market, but now they wanted to start using nurses because they found that that was like one of their largest markets. Was that nurses and healthcare workers had the funds, they had the means to travel, and they also were professionals, so they gave a different vibe to the trip. So they asked me to host this trip and to plan a workshop in Kenya. And I mean, I've been basically wanting to go to Africa my entire life, but it is not somewhere that I wanted to go alone just because of the distance. It's like a 36-hour flight total. So that's kind of like, that was a little heavy for me to go to alone. So it was just like perfect alignment. And I was just really excited about it. And what's dope about the trip is that we'll do one day of volunteering where we'll be rebuilding a school in Kenya. And then the rest of the accommodations are pretty much luxury, 5-star meals. We'll be going to a elephant sanctuary. We'll be seeing a real safari in the actual Serengeti where animals roam from freely throughout the border to Tanzania. And then on top of that, I'll be doing a workshop on how you build a brand in today's media. And after that came up about a month later, I'm really like, me and you seem like we're on the same page, like with alignment as far as like being in flow and intentional. Mm-hmm. So I said out loud, 2019 will be my international year. And I don't know why, but it will be. Mm-hmm. So then Kenya came up, right? So then I was like, something else is going to come up. I can kind of feel it. So let me get in shape and let me feel good and let me start eating. Like, let me do everything I need to do for this. Because when you get these ideas of, a new purpose or something else coming up, you have to really be prepared for it. Because to whom much is given, much is required. So I get a call. I get an email the next week about Bali, Indonesia, and doing a nursing retreat. And then the difference is that this one is not only a gig where I get to travel, it's paid. How crazy, wow. Right? And it's pretty good paying. So we talk, and I absolutely love Carissa from Travel Nurse Network. I like how she does business. She actually attended my workshop. She's really professional. She is a gem. And I really something nice about working with women in business who kind of have the same core values as you. And it feels like it's a state of flow. So I said, this event is going to sell out quickly. I have a feeling. The event sold out in 12 hours. Wow. A trip to Bali. So she called me and said, would you want to do the trip again? So I said, heck yeah. Let's do it again. So we're doing the trip not only May 6th to May 11th, we're also doing it in June as well, June 21st to June 28th. And both trips are completely sold out. So as of right now, I am booked to speak in Bali, Indonesia twice, Kenya, and I just booked Nicaragua for August. And tomorrow I have a conversation about possibly booking Greece with another company. Wow. So I'm really into prayer, and I'm very specific about what I pray for. And if you're not religious, that's okay. And manifesting. One of the things that I do, and I require every person who works for me to do, is to visualize and tell me about their perfect day without limits. So I know that sounds crazy. So my perfect day, I jump into an ocean in the morning when I get up. And I have this big fluffy dog, and I jump into an ocean, and the ocean is warm. And people are always like, well, where do you live that you have an ocean front and it's warm? Is it Miami? And I'm like, that doesn't matter. I'm creating that. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's really important that we really create these fantasies in our heads, because they can really become reality. So if you would have told, when you asked me earlier, who is Monique, when you would have asked, 18 or even 25-year-old Monique, and I'm 30 now, that's only 5 years ago, would I be speaking internationally? I would have said, that's not possible. I didn't know that. But when I really started to open my mind up to realize that, okay, you've done this, you've accomplished this so far and you didn't realize that was possible, maybe what you really think you could possibly do is possible. So maybe think bigger. So where I see myself going for 2019, you know, what I see coming up, I have to be completely honest with you. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to be honest with you guys about that, because so many people, especially with social media, make you think that people have all their shit figured out, and we don't. Nobody does. So what I'm doing right now, and I do this every year, this is my new practice for the last 3 years. Around November, I get in a state of rest. And instead of trying to rush to the end of the year and accomplish all my goals from 2018, I chill out and I recenter and I connect to my source. So right now, what I know is that 2019 will be an international year for me, which is phenomenal. What I plan to do with it and my brand, I'm not quite sure yet, but I'll keep you posted. I'll definitely let you know. But I've just finished up speaking in 20. I did a 20-city speaking tour with no manager. I'm my own manager. I'm my own booking manager. I do all my own negotiations. So I'm hoping for 2019, I do have a manager.
Mm-hmm.
That would be nice. But I'm open to continuing to do it alone. I mean, we'll continue to do it with the team that I have. But I know that 2019 is already aligned for me to be international. It's already aligned for me to be international. But what I don't know is what that means for me. And that's what I'm going to spend the next few months figuring out.
Mm-hmm. Wow. You're like, so much of what you said was speaking to my heart about like creating the feeling and declaring this is what's going to be for me. Like the manifestation, we could talk about that all day, because like I'm totally really like feeling that and working. Like this year has been pivotal for me, and I've declared that 2019 is going to be the year I thrive.
It is. And you don't have to know how, right? Like, and you don't have to know how exactly right now, but you know that it's going to thrive. You're going to thrive, and you're going to be really intentional in like what you want. And then you just have to figure out how to bring that to you. Like, I know that 2019 is my international year. I don't know if that means, am I going to transition into be a travel blogger? I don't know that yet, but I'm going to sit down and really figure that out. But then again, God and the universe may have complete other plans for me. But all I can really do is set an intention and hope that I can live through that intention.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Absolutely. Yeah. That's a 100%. So important for us to understand, for everyone listening to understand moving forward into the new year. Even though it's not quite January yet, it's going to happen right, like sooner than we think. Thank you again. I thank you. I'm so grateful that you were on the show and you shared your wisdom and your light. Of course. So where can people find you and connect with you?
So as of right now, I have I am Nurse Mo on Instagram and IamNurseMo.com. If you ever want to book a one-on-one coaching call with me, you can go to IamNurseMo.com. If you want to book me to help promote your brand, if you want to book me to speak at your next engagement, IamNurseMo.com. That's where you will find everything. It's super easy, IamNurseMo.com. You can find everything there regarding Nurse Mo. As far as if you need a mentor, if you need nursing inspiration, if you need information about nursing jobs, research, all those things, visit The Resilient Nurse. Don't worry, I'm not on there. If you don't like me, you don't have to see me on there at The Resilient Nurse, theresilientnurse.com. So that is completely a platform built for nurses of various specialties, colors, races, religion, all that, where you can find a mentor and get advice.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And I will share everything of where people can connect with you in the show notes. So it'll be really easy for people to find you as well. So I have to end with my signature question. Are you ready?
Uh-huh.
What makes you your most lit up self?
Ooh. Traveling. Alone. I have a partner who I'm madly in love with, but I think And I'll even make this simpler, spending time alone. Yeah. So one of the things that I just realized that I have to have whenever I do a speaking engagement is an extra day in a hotel room alone by myself. And I may go out all day, whatever, but I just need whenever I can have a day where I do whatever I want to do. And that's it. And that could be sitting in bed, eating cheese curls like I did today. And actually working and responding to emails, or that could be a day where I'm out exploring, climbing a waterfall, who knows? But it's just being able to visit, what does Monique want today? And that makes me my most lit up self, because that is truly a luxury.
Yes.
So many people have children, we have bills, we have stress, but to be able to sit and say, I want to do this today. I have no plans, and this is what I'm going to do today simply because I want to do it. That's a luxury. So if you have that luxury at any given point in your week, please pursue it and please enjoy it.
Yes. Thank you again so much.
No problem. Anytime. Please stay in touch, okay?
Okay, absolutely.